The St. Louis Blues. That's all there is to say. Let's talk about it.
Hey, this is Brayden Chen. Subscribe to Locked On Blues.
You're Locked On Blues, your daily podcast on the St. Louis Blues. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome back to Locked On Blues. I am your host of Locked On Blues, Haley Taylor Simon, talking to you all things about our St. Louis Blues here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Last night, the Blues had a 7-2 win over the Winnipeg Jets. And yes, a Buchy hat trick. We're going to talk all about it. The series, it's alive. It's electric. There is hope again. And finally, my favorite Friday segment, Are We Feeling Blue? We have so much to get to on today's episode of Locked On Blues, and I cannot wait to talk about the thrilling 7-2 wins over the Winnipeg Jets. But I do want to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. A 7-2 win for your St. Louis Blues and a Buchy hat trick. What could have gone better for the Blues last night? It was an absolute perfect game for St. Louis. It was the type of hockey that this team should have been playing all along. There was a fire lit underneath this team, and I saw some of the best hockey last night, this whole entire year, actually. You see, the game was supposed to begin at 8:30. And then evidently, because Toronto and the Senators went into overtime, it pushed back puck drop a little bit. So it was closer to 9. And I'm going to be very transparent with you that when it was after midnight, okay, and I am having a very difficult time keeping my eyes open, I was just mesmerized by the astonishing hockey that I saw from the Blues. And I can go on, right, about how impressed I am with this team. But a 7-2 victory in the playoffs doesn't come lightly for me. That is a very big deal. And one thing that I want to kind of go over with you was the lines from last night's game, because a lot of people said, I don't know how I feel about it. This seems like it's not going to work out, but I really like these lines. And Jeremy Rutherford posted it prior to puck drop. And the first line centering was Robert Thomas. To the left, it was Buchy, and to the right, it was Snuggie. Second line was Shen, to the right, Kyrou, and then to the left, Jake Neighbors. Then you have Sundqvist centering the third line, to the right, Bolduc, to the left, Texier. And then finally, it's the WTF line with Fox centering Turchenko to the left and Walker to the right. For pairings, you had Fowler, Parayko, Broberg, Folk, Leddy, Tucker, and then Binnington and net. I really, really, really have to say, I am very impressed with Coach Montgomery for constructing this and putting together lines and pairings that maybe we didn't see working out, but ended up looking phenomenal. So that to me was great. But the game itself from the very beginning was electric, okay? Buchy scores 48 seconds into the contest, okay? Right? Assist by Snuggie, and then a secondary by Cam Fowler. Then we have, a second goal a couple minutes later by Buchy, but this time on the power play, this time assisted by Robert Thomas and then Cam Fowler, and now the Blues have a 2-0 lead. Finally, to end the first frame, who other than Cam Fowler to score with an assist from Thomas and Buchy? So now the Blues have a 3-0 lead heading into the second period. Now, the second period, there was no scoring on both ends of the ice, but again, the Blues played, in my opinion, much better hockey, and it was great. Like, this Blues team was really in the offensive zone a lot. Like, they really did maintain good O-zone entry, and they actually, I feel like, played some of their best hockey. Like, it was phenomenal. Again, words cannot tell you how impressed I was with this team. In the fourth period, about 4 minutes in, Gustafson is able to get Winnipeg on the board, but then guess who answers back? That is right, Buchy did, with a feed from Thomas, and that is when Buchy was able to get his hat trick. And wow, Enterprise, you guys were electric on the TV feed. It was unreal how loud and how amped up the building was, and that was so cool. A hat trick during the playoffs. Like, I just imagine how cool that must have been for Buchy, especially with how he wasn't playing good hockey in the first 2 games. And that's something that we have talked about here in Locked On Blues. And something that I really dug into in my last episode was my disappointment with him. But this was such a statement game for Pavel Buchnevich. And I feel like this is something that is going to light a fire under him, because that is how you respond to criticism. That is how you respond to not playing your best hockey. And at the end of the day, honestly, I know that we critique players a lot because we have high expectations of them. I didn't see the Buchy that I'm used to seeing a lot this season. And I feel like now this, to me, is like a turning point for him. This is like a turning point for the team in a sense. And I'll talk about that in my next segment. But let's continue on with the game because there was so much to talk about. Alexei Turchenko scores. No, that was actually the 6th goal. The 5th goal was a Jordan Kyrou power play goal. 2nd goal in the series so far for Kyrou, and Cam Fowler with the assist. Then we have the Alexei Turchenko goal, and Neighbors and Foxa with the assist. So now it's 6-1 Blues, right? A little bit over halfway through the first frame. Winnipeg scores, but again, the Blues have a 4-goal lead. And then finally, the Blues go back on the power play about 16 minutes into the 3rd period, and Colton Parayko scores with an assist by Cam Fowler and Robert Thomas. Whoa. So again, when we look at some players, Cam Fowler had 1 goal, 4 assists. Robert Thomas had 4 assists. Buchy had 3 goals and 1 assist. So a really big night for those guys. And I actually wrote down a statistic, right? Because in that game, obviously there was a lot of positives that we saw from the Blues. And there is a new franchise record that Cam Fowler actually set. And it's the first defenseman to record 5 points in a single playoff game. Again, the 1 goals and 4 assists. And I think about that, right, with Cam Fowler. And I think about, when he was at Anaheim, and then all of a sudden he comes here to this, new team. He's only been with the Ducks for his entirety of his career prior to coming to the Blues this season. But, he has exceeded my expectations in many ways. And I am very proud of him. But wow, 5 points for Cam Fowler. But we also, when we're talking about the game last night, and again, I know some of you are like, oh, we don't care about statistics. And I understand that. I do, however, okay? The Jets, they had 19 shots on goal, 2 went in. So Binnington had an .895 save percentage. But what I will say is that there is this one shot, right? And again, I'm going to describe it to you. I wish that, again, if you're on YouTube, you could see me because we do stream on YouTube here on Locked On Blues. But Binnington had his right glove, right? And where his body was more centered, and he was able to put his glove at the right corner of the net. So if you're following along with me, and his reaction time was so fast, and he saved the puck from getting in. It was a great shot. I believe it was Scheifele that had that shot. The point is that his reflexes, his instincts are so top tier that when people say Jordan Binnington isn't one of the best goalies, I call them delusional, because Jordan Binnington is one of the best goalies. And last night, I thought he played a great game. Last night, though, Connor Hellebuck ended up getting pulled. Again, he allowed 6 goals, which is not good for him. Their backup came in. But the point that I am trying to make in that is it was lighting the lamp, literally. And I said this in my last episode. This is why you need to really listen to what I say here in Locked On Blues, because people always say, oh, you don't always do statistics. I'm not a stat person. I'll say the statistics, but I really have a good eye when it comes to reading the game. I said Connor Hellebuck is one of those goalies, and I posted a short about this too, that you could easily score on if the Blues are aggressive enough around the net, because I saw some slip-ups of him, especially in game 1. Last night was a prime example. From the start, the Blues were aggressive around the net. And that is something, by the way, that this team didn't really do in the first couple of games. They did it in the first frame of game 1, but then they kind of took a step back. So that's why for me, again, the Blues had 28 shots last night. 7 went in. That's unbelievable. That is great. Now, Winnipeg did have a lot of penalty minutes. And again, it was a lot of stuff kind of towards the end. Luke Shen was in the box quite a bit last night. But again, you have 40 penalty minutes for the Jets. You have about 20 for the Blues. And the Blues, they've been really good on their power play. And that is, again, something that was a concern for me heading into the playoffs was the Blues' power play, their penalty kill. But the Blues have actually played some really good hockey on special teams. So for me, last night's game, and I'm going to rave about last night's game again tomorrow. I'm going to film episodes every day. I'm so excited. Like, I really am excited. Like, this is like my prime time. I'm really happy about this, obviously, because my team has some life again. But last night's game was so electric, and it just reminded me that you can never give up on your team, even when they are down by 2 games, because anything can happen, okay? Anything can happen. Being said, the series is still alive, which to me means that there's hope, and we're going to talk about that hope. But before I do that, I'm going to talk to you about my friends over at Amazon Fire TV. Did you know your Fire TV is also an Xbox? Turn any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with Fire Stick TV 4K devices. No console required. Just grab your pair controller, subscriber, sign in to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included. You're ready to play? Dive into hundreds of premium titles from EA Sports College Football 25 to Call of Duty Black Ops 6 and easily stream your favorite shows. It's gaming made simple, and it's all on your Fire TV. With Wi-Fi 6 and 6E and auto low latency mode advanced technology, Fire TV Stick 4K delivers smoother, more responsive gameplay with lightning fast speeds you need to stay competitive with, okay? So this is what you need to do. Head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller required. Available on select devices, including Fire TV Stick 4K, 2nd Gen, Fire TV Stick 4K Max, 1st and 2nd Gen, and Fire TV Cube 3rd generation. Hope is still alive, and it feels nice. So anyways, Game 3, success. Now we're on to Game 4. And guess what, St. Louis? We did not get swept. Woohoo! A win is a win. No, literally, a win is a win, because that was a lot of people's fear was getting swept by the Jets, but the Blues have now won at least one game. So that, to me, is a victory within itself, but that's like a loser mentality, so I don't want to go down that path. Anyways, the Blues being alive means to me that there is hope. And when there's hope, there's excitement. So anyways, I'm looking ahead at statistics, right? Because I look at the people from Las Vegas that put these odds together. And on Sunday's 1 o'clock game Eastern, 12 o'clock puck drop Central. Look at me giving both times out. Now Pacific, whatever. The Jets have a 53% chance of winning, while the Blues have a 46% chance of winning. But the reason why I feel like they're more leaning towards the Jets, and it's a very slim type of lean, right? It's just because they obviously won the first 2 games, and they also are the President's Trophy winners. So, like, obviously, I feel like Vegas is going to go that way. But again, this to me is just a really good sign right now for the Blues. And the Blues, I mean, listen, they went from having a 12% chance to making it to the second round to now a 22% chance. I mean, listen, they have a higher percentage than Edmonton does. So that to me is awesome. Like, I get it, right? It's a situation where the Blues are playing from behind, but isn't that the story of St. Louis, right? We're always playing from behind in a sense. I mean, you think back to 2019 when we won the Cup, we won the first 2 games, right? Then the Jets won the next 2 games. And the reason why I bring that up is because, again, when you have a tied series, which is the goal for Sunday, by the way, it's anyone's game. Is it going to be the team with the momentum that tied up the series? You just don't know. And that is why, for me at least, I feel like, again, a winning streak in the playoffs, and that's what Coach Montgomery said that he wanted to happen. It is achievable and it's doable. And we've seen the Blues get red hot. I mean, not too long ago, okay, only a few weeks ago, on this incredible 12-game win streak. So who's to say that that fire died? It did not die. Last night, playing in front of the crowd, the loud, the energetic, and listen, in my opinion, the best fans in the NHL should spark some excitement for these players. And Winnipeg is a beatable team. Winnipeg, they do exceptionally well on home ice. They're one of the best teams on home ice this season when it comes to their wins. And again, the first 2 games, was I disappointed? Absolutely. There was things that I was not proud of, not happy with, not pleased with, but these are all things that Coach Montgomery addressed. And we see how aggressive he is. He's not afraid to shake up the lines. Listen, you have a 20-year-old rookie playing on your first line. He's not afraid to move him from left to right wing. He's not. And that's what I like so much about Coach Montgomery, is that he's not afraid to take chances in the playoffs. And being risky in the playoffs does come with benefits sometimes. And again, I don't know what was said to these players prior to the game, and I don't want to know. I want that locker room stuff to stay in the locker room. But what I can tell you is that this St. Louis Blues team looked like a completely different, motivated Blues team. And I also want to say this, and I know I'm kind of ranting a bit, but I'm so excited. I'm so passionate because some of these games against the Jets where the Blues lost, they were close games, very close games, all of them actually. Last night, with the victory that the Blues had, right? A 7-2 win is a blowout win. That is a big, big, big accomplishment. And it's not like the Blues won by 1 goal. They won by 5 goals, okay? So again, the reason maybe why I feel even more confident, even though the Blues are still down in this series, is the way that the Blues won. It wasn't like it was so chippy and close. No, it was from the start. I mean, 3 goals in the first frame. You know what? 1 goal in the first 48 seconds, 2 goals before the 5-minute mark. So yes, I feel very confident. I mean, Connor Hellebuyck got to get pulled last night. So again, that messes up with a goalie's head. Goalies, and I'm not, listen, I don't like injuries. I don't condone any of that. But goalies, and this doesn't have to do with injury. I just want people misconstruing what I'm saying. Goalies have to be the most mentally focused player on a hockey team. I've spoken to a lot of goalies throughout my years, and I can tell you this, that they might seem a little bit weird to the outside because it's like, oh, why are they always so serious and like focused all the time, even like in everyday activities. But goalies are weird because they have to be focused. And I feel like Jordan Binnington gets such like a bad rep because of his emotions and all. But again, like he's always focused in net. What I saw from Connor Hellebuyck last night and I even rewatched the game again today before I did this podcast, taking notes. He looked like he lost his focus. That first goal that Buchy scored on him looked like that kind of like shook him a little bit, and he was not expecting that. I wasn't expecting it, but I mean, right off the face-off, the Blues win it, and then boom, offensive zone score. I just feel like for Connor Hellebuyck, I'm interested to see how he responds on Sunday, because it could go one of 2 ways. He could play some of his best hockey on Sunday because he's upset about what happened, obviously, last night on Thursday night, or he's going to still be a little bit off again because he can't shake it off. And that is a 50-50, but those are the 2 options. I don't really see an in-between. And again, anytime, in the playoffs when you have to get pulled as a goalie, and again, I know this from talking to goalies, it does kind of throw you off mentally because you know how high stakes these games are, and it's a lot of pressure, and then that just completely throws you off. But allowing 6 goals in, that to me is crazy, honestly. Like I was not expecting that from Connor Hellebuyck. I think out of all of the goalies right now in the playoffs, he was the one that I was concerned about the most. And again, he's still a very good goalie, and this is not me ripping into him. I just said that I did see signs that the Blues could beat him, and obviously they did. But again, when a goalie loses their focus a little bit, and you can kind of tell just by their positioning and their reflexes and how they're standing in net, he made the net look very big last night. He did. Jordan Binnington, a lot of people have scored on Jordan Binnington this season. He's got to get pulled in games this season. Like, again, like, I'm not saying Binnington is like the best goalie of all time. I'm just explaining what I saw from last night's game. Binnington's really good about making the net look small because besides Binnington's frame, it's the positioning. And that's a huge thing with these goalies. Sometimes they come out of the crease just a little bit too much, and then it makes, again, the net look big. It makes it have obviously open space, which is what you don't want. So again, very impressed with Jordan Binnington in net last night, but I do feel like this is still a winnable series. I actually want to throw it to all of you because every single Friday I do a segment called Are We Feeling Blue? Where I ask, is this a good week or is this a bad week for the St. Louis Blues? And I have all of your thoughts. But before I do that, I want to tell you about my friends over at Gametime. The Stanley Cup playoffs are here, and if you've never been to a live playoff game here at Enterprise, it's unlike anything else. The intensity, the speed, the energy in the building, especially when we do our power play dance, it's next level. And thanks to Gametime, getting in the door is even easier and more affordable than ever. Gametime is the fastest way to grab playoff tickets, even for those must-see matchups. Prices actually drop as the puck drop gets closer. And with last-minute deals, you can save up to 60%. Personally, I love that Gametime has the all-in pricing because it shows you the total cost upfront with no surprise fees at checkout. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Are we feeling blue? Was this a good week or was this a bad week for the St. Louis Blues? And if you're one of those people that is saying, Hale, it's been an up and down week, I totally understand because that's how I felt this week too. It has been such a crazy week. It has been such an insane up and down because I was really down at the beginning of the week. Again, when your team doesn't win the first two games, obviously you feel a little bit defeated and deflated. So this is what you guys had to say. Dak Mac Cardinals fan says, hopefully we can tie this thing up in Binner We Trust. Hashtag let's go Blues. Josh is a big fan of the show, so thank you, Josh. He said, as soon as the puck dropped, you could tell the Blues meant business. So much energy. Gosh, one of the best games I've ever watched since 2019. Go Blues. And again, Josh, I love seeing that comment because that is something that I felt. When I said that this was one of the best games I've seen all year, I guess you can really say this has been one of the best games that the Blues have played in a long time. The intensity of the playoffs does add kind of that extra feel of like excitement, but the Blues really did such a good job last night. They had a lot of hits last night. They were really smart. I mean, I remember in the first frame, I think it was Luke Shen. He was kind of antagonizing Buchy a little bit. Instead of Buchy fighting, because again, you're only up by a couple goals against a really good Winnipeg team. So instead of engaging and fighting back to, him get penalized, you stayed calm, cool, composed. And that was some really smart hockey and really smart mannerisms I saw from Buchy. Brendan Applegate says, I think every criticism heading into the game was forgotten, hopefully for the rest of the series. And I think that is something too, where again, this just goes to show the expertise of Coach Montgomery, because again, there was issues that we saw. We were concerned about as fans, and obviously he saw the same things and he addressed it, and he's so well-spoken. And again, I think changing up the lines a little bit does go a long way because, again, you have guys maybe playing on sides, even though that's their more dominant side, that just weren't getting a feel for it in this series. So, again, I liked what he had to do on the ice last night. The Miz said, hella buck, more like hella nervous. That was good. The Drop Hockey Show, big fan of them, said I was there last night and it was awesome. It's so cool to me seeing how electric Enterprise looks. I actually watched the Blues games with some of my friends here where I live. We're all big Blues fans. And, Jax, yeah. Anyways, like, just to be in that building last night looks like a movie. That was pretty cool. Matisse said Cam Fowler was just another in Cam Fowler was just another in a long line of masterclass moves made by Doug Armstrong. And I agree. Cam Fowler has been such a staple piece not only to the Blues' defense, but to the Blues' offense, honestly, with the amount of assists that he's had already this season. And again, having 6 assists in the postseason, having a goal. Like Cam Fowler, the man that you are, because you have completely blown and exceeded all of my expectations. I thought maybe at best he was going to be a second pair defenseman. I did not expect him to be one of the best two-way players on this team. So, again, he's been awesome. Bob says, it feels like a huge shift. We played 2 games in Winnipeg that could have gone either way, but this is how we play in front of our home crowd. The series easily could be ours if things end up going the way that we want them to go. I agree, Bob. It could. Punished said, relieved. I've been saying from the beginning that I was just so proud of the boys for making it, but it would have been a huge disappointment to get swept. Now everything after this is just gravy, and I want more, okay? I don't want to just say, oh, well, we didn't get swept. I want more wins. I want more playoff hockey. You have no idea how long I've been craving this from the Blues. Okay, well, 2 years, but still, it's been a while. A lot of life happens in 2 years, and I love playoff hockey, and I know how good this team can be. Kathy says, this is the start of something. I just know it. We will see. Dave said, Hellebuck kryptonite, high glove side. That is true, 100%. And again, and I'm going to talk about game 2 for a second. There was a chance that Robert Thomas had, and if he just got the puck a little bit higher, it would have gone in net because, again, Hellebuck's reaction time just wasn't fast enough for that, but the puck ended up just going to right. But still, it is achievable. Brad's already talking about Sunday. Game plan for Sunday, score early, keep hitting, get them frustrated again. Yep. That is the plan. I like that, Brad. But wow, you guys, this has been one of the most fun episodes that I've done. Am I feeling good about the St. Louis Blues? I am. Listen, the reality is on Sunday, and I want to be real for just 1 second of not being a little bit too excited, the Blues could lose. That's a reality. Then the series is 3-1. The guys know that. That should be motivation enough. I mean, you have one series right now where a team is down by 3 games, and that's the Ottawa Senators trailing by 3 against the Maple Leafs. And that's not a good position to be in. I think, honestly, the Blues are going to play so well on Sunday because I couldn't even go to bed after last night's game. I was so excited. So how do you go from having this stellar, amazing performance to not performing? I just can't see the Blues doing that. This game should have motivated them enough. So I'm excited. I'm ready. I just want it to be Sunday, 12 o'clock, have a little lunch, watch a little Blues. Actually, who am I kidding? I can't eat during these games. I get too nervous. But I will talk to you tomorrow. Again, I'm going to be talking to you every single day throughout the playoffs, even if it's a short, anything. I just want to talk to you. I love talking to you. So leave me a comment down below about how you think the Blues are going to do this Sunday. And again, congratulations, Buchy, for getting that Hattie and Binnington with another amazing performance. Cam Fowler for setting a franchise record. Robert Thomas for 4 assists. Man, this is a special team. Let's go Blues.